Everybody, welcome back to another edition of the Move Plus. We are breaking down stage 20 of the Vuelta a España, the second to last day of the race, the real last day of actual racing, though. And Wout Poels wins the stage in fantastic fashion over Remco Evenepoel in a 5-up bunch sprint. We will talk about that and the particularities of how that happened a little bit later in the show, but we're going to start off talking about Primož Roglič, the Jumbo group finally showing that they've backed Sepp Kuss and everything is good in Jumbo land. But first, let's hear from our sponsor.
We've been telling you about our partners at Manscaped for some time, but we never really talk technology, right? It's like, what am I using here? I'm here to tell you that the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer with advanced skin-safe technology works at reducing nicks and cuts, which makes taking care of everything a lot safer. You want to use the best technology. And another part of their technological masterpiece, it has a 7,000 RPM motor, multifunctional on-off switch that can engage in a travel lock and a built-in 4000K LED spotlight to help you see what you're doing. And their performance package comes with things to cool you down, like the Crop Preserver and the Crop Reviver. Once you start using these products along with your manscaping, you'll get it. You'll start using them as a regular basis. You'll love it. You're actually going to love it. And the Performance Package 4.0, which is one of the options, caps it off with 2 free gifts: the Manscaped Boxers and the Shed Travel Bag, which I use that travel bag for not only my Manscaped equipment, but all my other toiletries now. Bring in the fall right and get 20% off and free shipping with the code THEMOVE at manscaped.com. That's all one word, THEMOVE at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use the code THEMOVE. And as the leaves fall, make sure you have it all with Manscaped.
All right, Johan, what were your thoughts about, Primož Roglič putting in some pretty impressive work for Sepp Kuss on the final climb? You know, could have been, I guess, a tricky situation, but Primož kept it under control, seemed to have waved the white flag. He's now behind Team Kuss, him and Jonas, Sepp, all on the same page. Good feelings all around. What are your thoughts on that? And then do you think Jumbo has saved any sort of damage that they might have caused with the stage 17 debacle?
Yeah, well, obviously there was quite some criticism, after stage 16 and 17, especially after the Angliru, I would say. And maybe, and yesterday we talked about Primož, his quote after the finish was so-so. I think this morning he put that straight. He said that, he's very happy for Kuss, that he's a good friend, and that he agrees with the strategy and the decision of the team. I think the picture behind me here shows, what it means for them. And I think, Jumbo probably, they had a lot of talks, and I think right now, whatever has been said, and especially, and we have to put ourselves within that group, speculated by people who report or give their opinion on the race, I think that's all clear now. We were speculating. Sometimes we're reading too much into certain things, and that's also the interesting aspect of this sport. That there's so much going on, and we try to see the dynamics within the team. But yeah, nobody else knows than themselves what's going on. And I thought that, the other day it was Jonas who set the tempo on the last climb. Today it was clear that intentionally Primož Roglič set the pace for Sepp Kuss on the last climb. They had nothing to worry about, of course, because, no matter, even if Ayuso or Landa went away, there's nothing to worry about with that kind of advantage. But I think they put the record straight. Hats off to them to make clear that this is the situation and that Jonas and Primož are 2 great champions. And, I would just like to say one more time, we are judging sometimes, but we forget that these guys are first and foremost bike racers who race to win. And when they get into a situation that was not foreseen, it's sometimes difficult to accept. But after all, they're professionals. And I think that, this picture in the back here is really telling. And I think that this is what Jumbo-Visma and Richard Plugge is going to use in the next weeks to come to really say, hey, look, this is what we've done, and 1, 2, 3 in the Tour of Spain, winning the Vuelta, winning the Tour, and winning the Giro in the same year. It's incredible, And I think credit to them for having such a strong team, first of all, and for racing, the way they have raced in the 3 Grand Tours, and finishing it off with a guy like Sepp Kuss is really incredible.
Yeah, no, I thought it was a really nice gesture. Obviously, they could just be fooling all of us, and they really don't like each other, and they're just doing this for PR. But I actually think that this shows maybe going back to stage 17, that might have just been business, not personal for Primož. Like, hey, I still want to win this race, Sepp. I'm going to push you all the way to the line, and it wasn't some sort of betrayal. Potentially, we got a little carried away, all of us as a community, with like, oh, what are they doing to Sepp Kuss? But I think a commenter on this show actually said that Jonas said to Danish TV that he wanted to back Sepp on the second rest day. Roglič wanted to keep racing, and there was just a difference of opinion. And then that's what we saw on stage 17. And
well,
then
I think actually, I would like to correct a little bit. I've seen several reports that Jonas from the second rest day on said, this is for Sepp, and that the team actually had not decided yet.
Yes.
That the team still said, hey, you know what? We're going to win, and we'll see what happens, but, race for it, And of course, Roglič agreed with that. And then finally, I do think, however, that, the criticism on social media had an impact on this. But at the end, it's the nicest story they can get anyway. So yeah. And good, all good. This is normally, this is also telling, this is normally a picture we get on the last day, not on the second last day, right? Let's not forget there's still a stage tomorrow.
I know. They're going to wipe our brains. We're not going to remember any of this infighting. I don't like what you're doing, Jumbo. You're tricking us. But I actually saw a take. It was kind of a counter take to all of this. It's like, this is actually inappropriate because Sepp Kuss is paid to be a domestique and he should stay in his place. But they played the Kuss GC card. Like, if you go back to stage 6, like, they deliberately put him up the road and drove that move with their own teammates to get him as high up in the GC as possible. By doing that, and then, how many times have you said this, Johan? At the beginning of the race, Primož Roglič said Sepp Kuss could win this race. Clearly, he was a third option, and it was a card that they played, and it kind of stinks for Primož, but and then I guess this is where I'm going. Should the other, is this a little embarrassing for the other teams that Jumbo basically tripped over themselves almost because they're so dominant that no one put up any type of resistance?
No, they couldn't. They couldn't. I think it's clear if you look at what happened on the Angliru. The 3 strongest riders went away and nobody else could follow. Ayuso couldn't follow. Enric Mas couldn't follow. Landa, at first instance, couldn't follow. So there was nobody else left. And so, of course, it's unique. But I think actually if you look at, a podium swipe of Jumbo-Visma, the only surprise on that podium is Sepp Kuss. We all thought that both of those guys, Jonas and Primož, were going to be on the podium anyway.
Yeah, but I always think of Andy Hood at Villeneuve, because he loves to talk about the raids, and the Spanish are always going to team up and launch attacks. But today, kind of if you imagine, I don't know, what if Nairo's here? What if Alberto Contador's here? When they ambush Froome, should we have seen something from Enric Mas and Juan Ayuso trying to get really press Jumbo on a 208 kilometer stage with 10 climbs, or is it just they're too strong? No one can do anything.
They were hanging on for dear life themselves. What are you going to do? They were happy to follow Enric Mas and Ayuso. They tried. Ayuso tried once or twice, and Enric Mas said now that he's completely empty. They just didn't have it. It's as simple as that. The reality hits hard, and I've said it already many times. Vingegaard and Roglič are 2 of the 3 best stage racers in the world, and Pogačar is the 3rd one, and he's not here. So, what are you going to do? It must have been really frustrating and really not very motivating to see that roster show up in Barcelona, the Jumbo-Visma team, and said, what are we going to do with this? You know, I mean, it's like, what do you want us to do?
Yeah, but so Juan Ayuso, I think, was 6, so let's give him a pass. But Juan Ayuso, Mikel Landa, Enric Mas, Vlasov, Uta Brooks, Almeida, they all lost time to Sepp Kuss after the breakaway. Like Sepp Kuss just straight up outrode those guys.
Yeah,
I mean I don't want to be too critical, but that I kind of expected more from the rest of this group, and that it put Jumbo in a little bit of a pickle almost.
Yeah, but Spencer, how many times have we said it? Sepp Kuss is one of the greatest climbers in the world, and let's not forget, when he loses time, it's after he has done his job already, after he's emptied himself for his leaders. And in this race, except on stage 3, where he did it, otherwise he hasn't done it. He has not pulled 1 meter. I mean, he could sit in the wheels. So it's kind of logical, I think.
Well, we'll break down the stage win, but one more question for you before we move on. Sepp Kuss 2024, is he domestique again, or what's going on with that?
Yeah. I think so. But you know, now of course, and this actually puts Jumbo-Visma in such a stronger position. Like, yes, he will be the domestique for sure. The last one always. The last one to be there with the leader or with the leaders, depending on if Roglič and Jonas are riding together or not in the same race. But now they can actually know for sure that they can use him as a rider that, okay, tactically, if we put him in the break, hey guys, we don't need to be worried. This guy can win too.
Yeah.
It's just so much worse for other teams.
It's like a human scarecrow now.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's there. Yeah. Because it would freak you out. If he was in a breakaway at this tour, you could imagine someone calling their bluff. Like, yeah, well, you're really going to win with Sepp Kuss, but now you wouldn't do that. You'd be pretty terrified. Yeah. But to pivot to the stage win, so minutes ahead, 10 minutes ahead, the stage win was being fought out. We saw Remco Evenepoel get into the break, drive the break, just the usual playbook. This time, though, he had 3 teammates with him, so 4 total.
4 Soudal Quick-Step, yeah.
Yeah, 4 total riders. Big move. It looks perfect. I mean, tactically, like no notes for Soudal Quick-Step from me. I think they did a great job, but they get to the final climb. And as I said yesterday in Outcomes, it's like, I just feel like Remco will have to pay the price for these major efforts at some point. And it looked like he did. This isn't video. We were reminded this is not video games. You do get tired at times. And
I said,
not as strong as Wout Poels.
I said today, because I went scrolling to the different commentaries and on the broadcast, and on 3 different languages, I said, are these guys thinking this is PlayStation? It's like, okay, and now we're just waiting until Remco goes on his raid, when he started his demonstration. Guys, it's stage 20. He's done so much already. He's not a robot. He can't have energy forever. And today we saw, he was on a good day, probably not on a great day, because the days that he did those 2 individual escapes, he was on a great day. He said himself. Today he did have 3 riders working for him, so obviously he could save more energy than in the other breakaway days. And on that last climb, it was clear that the strongest guy was Wout Poels. He was the guy who started the initiative with a lot of conviction, went all the way to the top in the company of this other young Belgian talent, Lennart van Eetveld. Great ride for such a young rider, first Grand Tour, stage 20. I mean, that's quite the performance, I think. And Remco just, had to wait and go his own pace and finally made the move, but didn't make it. Even got dropped a little bit off the guy of Burgos, Pelayo Sanchez, who's also doing an amazing Vuelta. He's not staying at Burgos, by the way. He goes to Movistar. But still then, then finally those 5 riders come back together and it becomes a tactical game, right? And one could say, well, Evenepoel's not slow. He's already won some stages, some races in the sprint. There's not really anybody fast in that group. He could probably win it from the sprint. But man, Wout Poels was today on a mission. He was the master of the breakaway, probably saving himself as much as possible early on, then really being the strongest on the last climb, and definitely being the smartest in the last 500 meters, because that attack through that last corner was really masterful. And to keep it from that last corner on with 350 to go on a guy like Evenepoel was quite impressive, actually. I mean, Wout Poels is, he said himself, he's like fine wine. He just gets better with age, and that also happens in a big tour. He's always at the best in the last week.
Well, stage 16, he's third place. These are hard stages, by the way. Stage 17, fifth place. Those are legitimate results. Stage 20, first place. Like, he's been probably the strongest rider in this third week out of the whole race. To me, though, and it was an incredible physical accomplishment to win the stage. It looked a little bit like a 35-year-old versus a 23-year-old. Like, the fact that Remco let him sit last wheel going into what he should have known was a turn coming up. And I like, an old school coach will always tell you, like, don't trust the Dutchman in a reduced bunch sprint. And like, did Remco not hear that advice? Because he just
especially as a Belgian, the we Belgians and Dutch, were, as it happens with neighboring countries, right? And we the Belgians always say, yeah, don't trust the Dutch guy. Don't trust the Dutch guy, But anyways, I think Poels played it perfectly. He just waited, and when he went, he saw that Evenepoel was on the other side of the little group, and before Evenepoel knew it, he had 3 bike lengths, and there was no coming back.
I mean, it was incredible to attack into that corner. I mean, that's kind of what you're taught when you're a kid. You're just like, if you want to attack, go into a corner, because everyone's kind of naturally slowing, or at least coasting.
Yes, true. But let's not forget, it was 350 meters to go, and after such a hard stage, man, that's long. And you have to be really, really strong. But today, Wout Poels was just really, really strong. Otherwise, he couldn't have won it. Because if you look, Evenepoel is sprinting behind. The guy who's on his wheel, the Pelayo Sanchez, just has to let the wheel go. He was going so fast, but still, Wout Poels could keep Evenepoel off. So, yeah, I mean, this guy, he won the stage in the Tour already, now a stage in the Vuelta. 2 really nice stages against 2 of the best bike riders in the world. Let's not forget, Wout Poels dropped Wout van Aert in the Tour. And now he beats Evenepoel. So, he's not doing bad for an old guy.
Transitive property is Wout Poels the best young rider in sport. Is he the new superstar of cycling? Can he win a Tour de France? We're just going to wind the clock back 10 years and start the same conversations over again.
But what's really impressive, Spencer, is that, if we remember, like 10 years ago or more, Wout Poels was the Sepp Kuss of Chris Froome. He was when he was pulling, there were 3 or 4 riders left in that little group on the climbs. And 10 years later, he's in a different role and still winning races at the very highest level of the sport. That's impressive.
I mean, he's somewhat dominating. It doesn't look as dominant because of the style of rider he is, but to be able to pick off these wins that he's getting is really impressive. And don't forget, he's a monument winner. He won Liège-Bastogne-Liège. It was like one of the most miserable editions I've ever seen. Really impressive win. If you had to pick, though, Johan, stage 18 versus this, and it was a good ride from Remco to get second. It was impressive. Which one do you think would have shown him to, I guess, have progressed tactically? Would you rather have seen him win this against 5 riders versus drop everybody?
I think if today Evenepoel would have won, I personally would have, put it as probably a better, nicer win than his solo wins, because it would have involved a lot of different things. It would have been involved managing in the breakaway, being smart and tactically, and also winning when you're not at your best, which, in my opinion, today, Remco was, as I said, good, not great. And that would have been actually really, really nice. But hey, as I said, this is not PlayStation, guys. It's the other riders are also super well trained, super well prepared, have talent. And it's not like Remco is going to ride away from everybody every single day. It's already impressive he's there. 4 days out of, 5 days. Yeah, 5 stages after his, downfall on the Tourmalet. So, yeah, he's not going to win all the time.
It's a good reminder of that. And this is probably our last Move Plus of the Vuelta. So do you have anything else to share before we take off?
No, that's it, man. Tomorrow to Madrid, bunch sprint, and yeah, we'll see.
Right,
we'll see who takes that one. Make
sure you wave at the peloton as they go past your house.
No, they don't. They don't.
we want to imagine they do, though. It makes it better. Well, thanks, Johan, for sharing all your knowledge through these episodes. It's been really fun, and thanks everyone for listening. And we will be back soon. Don't count us out. When Primož Roglič goes to Movistar, we'll have an episode up right after.
He's not going to go to Movistar. There's no way. There is no way Primož goes to Movistar.
I hope not. I don't want to see that.
I'm not 100% convinced that he'll stay. But after today, whatever we said yesterday, I think people need to understand that we're also speculating and getting caught up into the moment and what's happening. But if you really look at it, where is he going to be better than at Jumbo-Visma? The chance that he wins the Tour is very slim. And probably, if he would go to the Tour, as the second most important rider on Jumbo-Visma, maybe he has more chances than being the sole leader on another team.
It's a great point. It's a great point. I think it's something a lot of riders fail to understand. You naturally don't think about things that way, but if Sepp Kuss would have left 4 years ago to be a GC rider, he would probably have fewer Grand Tour wins than he will by tomorrow. A lot of times if you just stay at the best team, more opportunities will arise.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Johan, and we will let you go. And thank you, everyone, for listening.
Okay, thanks.
All right, bye.